Hello guys, and welcome back. I've got something special for you today. I've got a whole bunch of boxes to open. Some of them are my old stuff that I want to just share with you of what I've got in my rig right now, and the rest is basically all about the upgrades. And let's start from what I've got at the front here. So basically, initially, some time ago, I've been using this really crappy fan to cool my CPU. I can show you what that is. It's basically just a radiator with actually quite powerful fan, but because it's so loud, I just could not use it for long. It was just really annoying, and because my computer is on my desk and previously was next to my desk, I could constantly hear the noise made by it. Additionally, this is a new case. Previously I've been using some mid-tower, which wasn't really very good at, well, anything to be honest. Basically mid-tower isn't the way to go these days. If you want to cool your computer properly and want it to look good, you should use something like this. This is a Corsair, I believe 780. I'll have a link somewhere here, or name of it, so you know exactly. So basically, what all this stuff is what I put in kind of chronologically. So that previous that cooler here, this one, was cooling my CPU initially. Then I swapped to this Corsair closed water cooling kit. This is H55 as it says at the top, and it's basically quite literally just a small radiator. It comes with one fan, and obviously the water block for the CPU. It's actually still installed in my rig right now, and it's doing an okay job on the fully used up all cores. It actually keeps it at steady 64 up to 70 degrees, but this is all 8 cores used in the same time and fully loaded, so it's okay for this tiny little cooler. I have decided this is not enough, mainly because of and this is basically another step in my progression with this rig, because of the card. Some time ago, this is not a new card obviously, it's a Radeon R9 390X, gigabyte 8, gigabyte of DDR5. So this is exactly what it is. This is what it looks like. It's actually installed in the case. I don't know if you can see that at all. It's actually installed in the case right now, so I'll show you that later. But basically, it's not the top-end card at all. It's, I would say, mid-end, but it's doing its job. I can play literally anything I want, and there's literally no stopping it. So it is a good enough card for me. I don't need a Titan or anything of this sort. What I actually wanted to do is to keep it kind of more stable and quiet. Basically, it uses the what's called wind force fans, and although they cool really well, they're actually super loud, and it pretty much takes the joy out of any game if you have to listen to this monstrosity spinning right next to your ear. So basically, although the card is great and it's working really well, I decided to take it apart and install a water cooling system on it. That, of course, is kind of a bigger commitment, because you don't want to kind of half-ass it. You want to actually do it correctly. So what I've got here is the new setup. So let's start from the card itself. I believe this is the water block for the card. Good, I'm just in time. Okay guys, so it's actually me from the future. I come from 5 days from now, if that makes sense. So basically, while recording, or actually while editing this episode, I've realized that what I've got, and what I showed you, well now you probably won't see it, but what I showed you initially was the EK or EX, I can't see the full name now, FC R9 Fury X, this one here, and this is the graphics card water block. I realized this is the wrong one. And after examining it, I found out that it's actually slightly different to what I was hoping for, and it doesn't account for the DVI port on my card. So basically, what I've done is I finished editing, and then bought the right one, which is this one here, and I'll talk about it in a second. Then went back in time, and now it's actually before I even started recording, so I'll probably come in very soon. But before that happens, I want to talk to you about these two things that I bought. So one of them is obviously the water block, and the other one, which I've mentioned, or maybe I will mention later, I'm not sure, is this little fan controller. Which kind of turns out to be a bit of a disappointment, but I'll talk about it in a moment. So let's start from the card itself. So this is brand new. I haven't opened it yet, so I don't actually know exactly what's inside. According to the description, this is exactly what I'm looking for and what I should have bought in the first place. So this obviously will be returned. So let's see what's happening here. Let's grab something to open this with. So basically, the difference is that this is almost exactly the same as this new one, except obviously the colors and the way it looks, it doesn't matter, but what it does matters. So it fits the card except for the DVI port. So I didn't want to get rid of it. I didn't want to take the DVI port out at all. That was, that's maybe not essential to me, but it's definitely something that I want. So let's start from the beginning. So what we have here is basically this is what the box looks like when you open it. So it starts obviously with the manual, which we don't actually need right now. Oh, actually, I can show you. So this is the card, and as you can see, it actually has got the DVI port on it. So it's going to be definitely accounted for. Let's see the other side. It doesn't show, I don't know, it doesn't really show much. It basically says that take off your old cooling and then put the new stuff on. So this is the block itself. It looks completely different to the other one. The old one was see-through. It was plexi with nickel plates. This one, I believe, has no plexi at all. I haven't really checked, to be honest. And this is the very first time I'm opening this thing. So the main features of this block are quite clearly visible. The difference between the old one and this one is that the old one didn't have a specified input and output for the cooling liquid. This one has it. There's an input here and the output here. They obviously fit the standard size fittings. They all have the same size pretty much. You can obviously get different sizes of fittings, but this is the standard, so they all kind of obey to the same one. So what's really cool is obviously the size and the radiator at the top. The top plate, I don't think it's lit. I'll find out when I actually put it in, but I think it's just metal. It doesn't look see-through at all, unless it's super black underneath. I do think it's metal though. And obviously the logo that you never see. I don't think this, even if it was lit up, it would actually make a difference because the card is actually installed this way. So this would be underneath the whole card, underneath the PCB, which means that you won't see the glow underneath, and it wouldn't be super aesthetic, really. So So from the front, you've got the radiator, and you know, at the back of the card. I'm sorry, is this the back? Yeah, at the back of the card, and at the front. Then from the front, you've got obviously your in and out, a logo which I don't really like. It doesn't really feel, you know, proper. It feels like it's gonna rub off very soon. But obviously you won't be touching it, almost never. You know, almost ever. It will be installed. You're maybe gonna dust it every so often, but you know, that's pretty much it. From the back or the bottom, or in fact the top, when it's installed, the most obvious part of the block is that the GPU plate is actually on the angle. In the old one, it was straight. It was along the block, and so I'm not sure how is that going to affect performance, if at all. But there's something really cool about this this block, and I'll show you in a second. So it's quite big, obviously, so it's going to help with cooling with all this area here. You can even install the cooler on it if you want. I don't think I'm going to do that, because that's the whole point of installing the water cooling, to actually have the cooling, you know, use less fans, I suppose, or be quieter. So I won't be installing any fans on that, well, unless it's really necessary, but I don't think it is. So this is one of the plates. I say one because there is another one underneath. So if I go into the box, there is a second plate. This goes at the top of the card, of the PCB. So you've got your bottom block, then you've got your bottom block, the only block, the GPU block. Then you have your PCB, and the top plate goes up here. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. So it goes like this. The PCB is in between, and what's really cool about it is that both sides are cooling. This obviously is inactive cooling. This is completely passive, but I'll show you in a second how it's going to cool the card. So the only difference, not the difference, but the only weird thing is that why they included this square here. It doesn't make much sense, because there's nothing that it can kind of help with or influence or make space for. There's literally nothing in the computer to go here, if that makes sense. So I understand this, because that goes in between the capacitors, just above the card, and you know, the ones that sit on the on your motherboard, alongside the PCIe. So this is a bit weird. I'm not sure why they've done it. It would look much better with the stripes all the way in, but I guess that it's the design. So I'll see where does it go and how does it correspond to the whole thing. There is another kind of indent here, which I'm guessing is, let me see, this is for, okay, so this is for the power, and then there is one more, actually two more here, and I'm guessing this is just for installation, so they won't be too visible, because the straps are really long, and it feels like it's ending right here, not earlier, so you know, it won't see it in the computer basically. So that's really cool. What's even cooler is that it comes with this little box, which I just chucked the content of, and in the box you have your padding, thermal padding, two types in fact. So one is yellow and one is red. Obviously the padding itself is grey or black or whatever. I guess it's grey, dark grey. But the padding is color coded because of its properties and thickness. So the yellow is thicker and the red is thinner. And well, I don't know what the difference is in the actual properties of it, but we'll see later. So these are the two paddings there, and then you've got the huge syringe with thermal paste from Cool, I guess, or Cool. I'm not sure if that's C-O-O, whatever. What is this paste though? Alpha. Oh, it's Alpha Cool. Okay. So it's A somehow. Oh, it's Alpha, of course. Yeah, it's Alpha. Okay, so the cooling company, Alpha Core, it doesn't say what the actual paste is, but I'm going to use my own anyway. I used gold paste because that's the best one I found so far. You also have a few Allen keys, which already makes it a pain because I hate Allen keys and the screws are a pain in the butt when you lose your keys, your Allen keys. So yeah, good luck installing it in the future. Well, good luck me, I guess. My past, future me, whatever. So this is what you have. The instruction actually tells you quite clearly that where is the beginning? That you are going to use both of the thermal padding. So the red stuff goes at the bottom, or in fact the top, of this block, or rather on the card itself. This is where the GPU sits. This is where the red padding is going. So what I tell you here is remove your old padding, then install your red padding on the GPU side, or on the, I suppose it's the bottom, because it points down when it's installed. So let's go to the bottom. So the main parts of the card. So where this sticks to. So you've got the red stuff there, and then from the other side you install, or actually you uninstall your backplate, and then install your yellow padding. Am I right? Yes. Okay. For a second here I thought that you leave your old backplate, but that's not the case. It just looks similar to the backplate that I've got installed now. So yeah, so you install your yellow padding and then the top plate. So this thing. And this is why I said both sides, top and bottom, are going to cool. So this is obviously completely passive cooling. The other side is active-ish. It has got a lot of passive cooling on it, and I like the fact that it's making it feel so premium. It's really heavy for what it is, and it's big. It's going to cover the whole card. It's going to make it look like a card, which is very, very good compared to the old one, which I'm going to show you now, because I don't think my past me is going to leave the footage in. So let's see. So this is the original one I bought, which obviously was incorrect purchase. So this actually fits, except for two little things. So this screw here, this one, should be cut off, and as you can see on here, the DVI port wouldn't have any space, so I would need to cut out a chunk of the plexi, which would work, but obviously it wouldn't be ideal, because you want it to look good, you want it to look professional and premium, have this premium feel. So everything on the bottom fits. So not sure why they've done this different version. I'm guessing it's for a very, very similar card, and after checking the description again of on the shop where I bought it, they do say it's for the card I've got in my computer, but it's definitely not. So I will return this. It obviously wasn't used, so be careful what you buy. You definitely need to read more reviews, more information about the product you're buying, so you don't end up with, as I did, with two. I can return it, but it may not be as easy in your case. So let's put this away. I do like the box. I do like the product itself. It feels really, really premium, and I'm happy with what I see so far. Let's see what's going to happen later when I actually install it, but I'm really happy with what I've got here. So this is one thing. The other thing I wanted to show you is the fan controller. Initially when I ordered it, I was kind of expecting much more from it than I got in the end. First of all, I haven't started it yet. I literally just taken off this sleeve. The colors are off. They're completely different to what I ordered. You probably can't. Now you can see it. So what it's supposed to be is just blue writing lit up, and the actual screen should be dark. This is kind of greenish writing with like purple background lit up, so it's not ideal. It has got loads of Chinese, or I'm guessing Chinese writing. Is it Chinese? Yeah, Chinese writing, and yeah, it feels super cheap, although it wasn't really. Well, I said it wasn't. This isn't really a product that you would expect to cost much, but you know, still, it could be more premium. So when you open it, you get pretty much whole thing in Chinese. Yeah, there's not even a word in English inside. Yeah, so the manual is useless, but obviously we're not going to use that anyway because that's a super simple product. Next thing is you got another. I'm guessing this is warranty, but again, I have no clue. All I can read is STW, and oh, it actually says considerate service, one word. So yeah, translation, Google Translate in fact, probably not even that. And then the product itself, which at the glance it looks okay, but you know, if you look at it closely, the buttons are really stiff, and they kind of they're like right on the level of the plastic at the front. By the way, this is plastic, not metal, and it's quite difficult to press them without, you know, like holding the whole thing. So my plan was to actually install it somewhere here, so I can see the temperature, maybe up here. I'm not sure yet, but where. But it would be installed somewhere there, so if I press any buttons it will all wobble and go out of place, so that's kind of disappointing. What it shows from the front, from the top, which I must admit it wouldn't be normally visible at all, is the PCB, which is basically a huge disappointment. So it feels like they didn't have enough money to cover it. You would never need this space to be open anyway, because the cables go to the back regardless. They're quite long, which I like, but you just don't want this to be uncovered, especially in a water-cooled rig. Because if it gets, you know, if the water spills on it, your whole computer burns basically, pretty much, because it's connected up to your computer. So, well, maybe exaggerating, but still, it should be covered in my opinion. It feels like they didn't have enough money in production to actually cover it from the top and the back. In my opinion, it should have a backplate too. There's literally nothing else in the box. There are a couple of screws, but that's pretty much it. You do get this like a little plastic pull here to install it from the top. No clue how would you ever use that, because it's supposed to go into one of the bays here, so there's nothing you can do from the top, so that's useless. In my case, it will be going most likely at the top, because if it goes at the bottom, I will see the PCB at all times, which is really annoying. I just don't like the whole design. I was thinking to put it maybe sideways so I don't see it, but then all the writing will be sideways, which is again annoying. So yeah, that's not ideal. So the screen has a little cling film, which again feels super cheap, and it's really scratched by the look of things. So it was either banged up on the way here, or they just reused them, maybe? I don't know. I can clearly see that the writing is basically engraved in the screen, so it's not an actual LCD, and it's going to show, like, you know, like one of these, remember Tamagotchis? They used to show like very specific patterns, so this is pretty much the same thing by the look of things. So yeah, not really happy with this product. It could have been so much better. Maybe I'll make it work and look better by installing it at the top, where it's not so much visible, obviously inside of the case, where it's not so much visible, but this is, I'm afraid, what I've got to work with for now. Maybe I'll find something better in the future, but for the time being, this is all I have, and I'll have to work with this. So, just going back to the whole card thing. Careful not to buy something that doesn't fit your rig. It needs to work with your components, it needs to be correct size, correct model, whatever, but it needs to work. You can't install a different model and hope for the best, because that's definitely not going to work. Even if it fits, it will have some drawbacks. Overall, I'm really happy with the products, well, at least this product, and hopefully I can make the other one work the way I want. So stay tuned for one of the next episodes, probably not the very next one, but if in a few episodes I will definitely install this water block in the computer or on the card, and I'll film the whole thing so you guys can learn from my mistakes and not break your card. Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, it won't happen. But yeah, thank you very much. I've got to run. I can hear him actually walking right now, so I've got to disappear before he opens the door. So see you guys, and hope to speak to you soon. To connect to the block, you need obviously some fittings, which I've got here. I believe I've got 12. And some piping. I went with blue, UV blue. I believe it's 19/13 size. And as you can see, that one of the fittings is already on it. I've tried it on just to make sure this is the right size. It was quite tight, but it is actually correct, and it's all good. There's no way it's gonna leak. So at least not with this tight fit. So this is actually quite cool. I was kind of expecting a little bit of a brighter blue. At least the photo showed the blue to be kind of in between, like sky blue and this blue. So this is like much darker than I expected. But with the UV lighting, I'm hoping it's gonna give some light and it's gonna be nicely exposed. So. I think it's gonna look better, especially with this UV coolant. It in itself, it's blue actually, but it's gonna give some light under the UV LEDs. So that's hopefully all we need. If this is too dark, my other idea was to use white tubes with the blue UV coolant, but I've seen this at my friend's house, and he's got exactly the same case with white tubing, and basically the UV blue coolant isn't really visible so much, so he didn't actually go for the UV tubing at all. So I'm hoping this will actually give more light and will look much better. So yeah, you've got the tubing. I've got 2 meters here. I don't think I actually need this much. In my opinion, it's up to 1 meter that I'm going to use, but I want to see how far I can push it, as in how good could it look with longer tubes or shorter tubes, or I don't know. I'm trying to kind of avoid straight lines. I want it to look like there's a lot of stuff in there, although there isn't so much. And basically the initial idea of it was to use the other type of tubing. To use the other tubes, I would need, for one, loads of tools, because they need to be bent properly, and you basically end up with a beautiful insides of the computer, because you can have like right angle tubing, which is really cool looking, but it's basically, you're bound to make some mistakes. I've seen professionals making mistakes in putting that in, and having it all leak and just redoing it a million times. It is a pain. Maybe in the future, not right now though. So yeah, so this is the tube. You basically just cut it with normal razor blade or or even scissors, but you need to remember one thing, and this is to make sure that the cut is as straight as possible for the for the fitting to actually go in properly and also not leak. That's the main thing, obviously. So the tubing inside, we've got the fittings here, the pressure fittings, and basically they don't require anything special to work. They basically just fit over your hose, and then on the other side you just screw it in with little rubber washer here, and that's it. There's another type of fittings that require like cable ties or other messy stuff to hold it in place, but this is looking much better. It's something like £1 each, but it's looking so much better, and there's no way this is going to look bad, basically.